Good morning, Morning Musings by Melinda. How was your weekend? Did you have a nice Mother's Day? I had a great Mother's Day because it was the first time I was able to be with all three of my biological children at the same time since the pandemic. So we had a lovely breakfast at Amanda's house, and it was great for us to all get together as a family. I missed my Texas family, but was able to talk to them on the phone, which is always lovely to be able to connect with the grandchildren. It just warms my heart so much. I wanted to talk to you, though, about what I did on Saturday, which was to go to Eric's House. ericshouse.org is an organization that is there for some kind of support. When I say some kind of a support, because really you can't give total support because there are no words, there are no real kinds of ways to support other than to be there and hold space and love on somebody, but some kind of support for women who have lost children. And Mother's Day, like any other day, is bittersweet. And there's all kinds of things that we don't think about when we're celebrating Mother's Day, and people who've had difficulty either with their mothers or being a mother or having the loss of children. And I wanted you to think about that today and to take a moment to hold some space, to honor that you might have a great relationship with your kids or have had a great Mother's Day. But to think about people who are in a state of mourning with the ebb and flow of life. Mourning, unfortunately, is a part of it. And we're not supposed to mourn the loss of our children. And yes, we're supposed to mourn the loss of our mothers, but it's different when you lose your mother young. I talked to many people who've lost their mothers when they were teenagers or in their early 20s, and the mother has missed being at weddings and having babies be born and things like that. And there is always that empty space inside when you've lost a mother so young. And so that day is bittersweet for those people. Or how about people who could never conceive and have always mourned the fact that they were unable to be mothers themselves? We need to hold space for them. Or people who've actually had a miscarriage and have had multiple miscarriages. And that's a serious loss for that grief is very palatable, and we say stupid things to each other as human beings, like, oh, you can always have another one. Actually, people say things that are ridiculous to other people when there's been that kind of loss because they don't know what to say. And frankly, I'm sorry is the best thing to say. There are people that come to me that have mourned that they had an abortion early in their life and that they have regrets about that. There are people who have done the most selfless thing in the world and given up their children for adoption. So every Mother's Day they think about what that child's life might be like and think about, how they could or could not connect with them, or if they have connected with them. It's all kinds of different energies around Mother's Day that we don't really think about, right? So, people who have lost children is what I did on Saturday, and it gives me such great, I don't know what the right word is. I want to say joy, but that doesn't seem fair to say that it gives me great joy to be able to connect someone to their child on the other side. It does give them joy, though, to have evidential proof that their child is fine, or that the child on the other side gives me their name or their brother's name or their grandmother's name, or gives me some information that I'd have no way of knowing. There's a level of real joy in that connection, right? That it's amazing. It doesn't take grief away. It just helps to be reassured that your loved one is safe and sound on the other side. Guys, sometimes I talk to people who've lost more than one child and have to work through the grief of losing more than one. And there's a grief of losing a child through having some kind of a disagreement or a problem with each other that is very difficult. Or, there's sometimes a child that has to distance themselves from a toxic mother, too. There are all kinds of things that happen around this energy of motherhood and connections and so on. One of the things, of course, that it says in the Bible is to honor your mother and your father. So how does that fit when you have a toxic mother? Well, the truth is that our souls choose our parents for a reason, and we have an agreement with the souls of our children as well. And that agreement is part of the karmic profile and understanding who you are in the duality of planet Earth, the shadow and the light. And so you honor the vehicle that you come in and learn from. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have an ongoing relationship with a toxic person, whether they're your mother or your child or not. How about the drugs? I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of drug addiction in today's world to take children away from their mothers. So I'm hoping that you had a wonderful celebration like I did, but I'm also hoping that in your meditations today that you're holding space for people who have lost children in one form or fashion or another, or children who've lost their mothers young and or through toxicity or some other things. I lost my mother when she was older. She wasn't that old. She was 84, but we lost her before that because she had dementia. And that in itself is another layer of how grief works. Grief has, as I have said on countless occasions, sharp edges and dull aches. And some days the dull aches are there, and some days the sharp edges are there. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is to count your blessings if you've had a wonderful Mother's Day and you've got a great relationship with your kids. To count your blessings if you lost your mother later in life. To hold space for those who have been in mourning over motherhood in one form or fashion or another, and to stay with the attitude of gratitude no matter what. And P.S., the people who have lost children, I have to tell you, they are the most emotionally courageous humans I have ever seen. They smile and talk and laugh with me, which is really the only way that I can make a connection to heaven is through keeping things upbeat with the joy of it. And they do that, and they're amazing, and I honor them so much. So happy Mother's Day to those people and to you. And I hope that you hold this space for everyone in your meditation today. Have a great day.